Hello, everybody, and welcome again to another presentation about the wildlife that we have in Vestmanneyjar. First, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Rodrigo. I'm a naturalist placed in Vestmanneyjar right now, and I would like to talk to you today about whales and dolphins. We have a lot of cetacean around Vestmanneyjar. But first come first, I would like to thank Safnahús Vestmanneyjar, the library, and also the Multicultural Center for the great support in spreading all this information, especially to Claudia for all her IT support. So I hope that you are going to enjoy this presentation. Well, first of all, we have a lot of things going on in this tiny archipelago. Just from the coast, from land, you can see so many different species through the whole year. And I'm going to guide you through some of them. But first, I would like to explain you why whales are here, why dolphins are here, why we can see them, which are the best time of the year to see them, and some basic ID information. So when you are on your walks, so when you are just taking a look outside, you can try to identify that, and of course, try to find these little secrets of nature around us. First of all, where are we in the world? Iceland is located in the middle of the North Atlantic, and Vestmanneyjar is a very important place in the south coast. If you look at this map here above in the right, you see that Vestmanneyjar is pretty much, well, is the only harbor port that we have a few hundred kilometers around. And also the fishing industry in this island is really, really important. So we have fish, we have, of course, whales, because whales are after fish. What makes unique this place is that we have a huge influx from warm waters, saline waters that are coming all the way down from the tropical areas into the Gulf Stream and the Coriolis effect. And also all around Iceland, we have what is called the Irmingen current. It's a clockwise current that goes all around the coast of Iceland, and it's bringing a lot of cold waters from the north, from the Arctic. So these two masses of water, the warm coming from the south and the cold coming from the north, collide here around Vestmanneyjar. Also, we are really close to the continental shelf. If you look at this line here, you can see that suddenly the colors are changing, and it's because the depth is changing from just few dozen of meters, we go all the way down to more than 1,000 meters. So that kind of diversity and in the geomorphology that we have in the sea, in the bottom of the sea, produce that we have a huge upwelling of nutrients. And if we have a lot of nutrients, we have a lot of tiny organisms like zooplankton, and we have a lot of fish. And if we have a lot of fish, we have a lot of whales. So I would like to introduce you some of the whales that you can see in your walks when you are going around the island. But first come first, what kind of a species can we find? Well, there's been a lot of whales reported around Iceland, more than around 23 out of the 80 that we have worldwide. Of course, we cannot see all of them all the time. They have different cycles. Some of them are more visible in summer, some of them are more visible in winter. But here you can see in green the ones that I think is the more likely to see, or at least more likely to notice when you are going for your walks. We have other species that has been reported in Iceland. For example, the northern right whale, extremely endangered species. It was since in 2018, if I could remember, in summer. Northern right whale was spotted in Faxafloy. It was immediately identified as mogul, a 10-year-old northern right whale, because it was coming from the west side of the Atlantic, from the east coast of the States. We also have other whales that are not with us anymore in the Atlantic. For example, the gray whales used to be very common, but they become extinct because of overfishing or whaling. But I would like to talk to you about these ones that are in green. Because they are pretty much the ones that you're going to see, except the sperm whale, that I will let you a little bit more about that later on. So this is going to be the scheme of the presentation. You can see here the Icelandic name, the English name, Polish, and Portuguese, and of course the scientific name. And I want to start with a little one, a harbor porpoise, Phocoena or Nissa. This is a very funny species. It's hard to notice, to be honest, because they are moving really, really fast. What we know about harbor porpoises is that they are around 1.5 to 2 meters long, and they can be 60 to 75 kilos, so like an average human. Around 22,000, 44,000 of them can be seen around the waters of Iceland, and they are pretty much coastal species. They are really, really small, remember, 1.5 to 2 meters long, so they don't venture themselves very far from the coast, except during the winter time. There are some studies from Greenland saying that harbor porpoises might travel up to 800 kilometers from the coast in order to find food. What I found interesting about harbor porpoises is that you have to have a keen eye to see them because they are moving really fast in a small pod, 4 or 5 individuals. So when you think that you have seen something, boom, they are gone already. And in fact, you can see that here in these videos they are, in these ones, the waters are really calm and they are really hard to see. You have to pretty look at the ocean to see them. An interesting fact about harbor porpoises is that when there's the reproductive season, their testes can be up to 5% of their body weight. So they can have genitalia of up to 3 to 4 kilos. So heavy things to carry. Next species I want to talk about is the white-beaked dolphins. White-beaked dolphins are pretty abundant in the Icelandic water. Around 12 to 20,000 of them are with us the entire year round. They are not going anywhere. They are not migratory species. They stay with us the whole year round. What is interesting is that this species is one of the largest of their genus. They're like genus, could be 2 to 3.5 meters long, and they can weigh up to 300, 600 kilos. They have a white band all around the body and a white beak. That's why they are called like that. And they are very playful. These pictures or images that you are seeing are from an event that happened like in March, a few weeks ago. And we witnessed a megapod of white-beaked dolphins traveling in the north part of Vestmanneyjar. These megapods are common during the winter time, especially. We can see them all around the country. And then you can see a very playful behavior, but it's not common to see them in such a huge aggregation. They are usually around 5, 6 individuals. Maybe if you go to the north of Iceland, Húsavík, Eyjafjörður, you're going to see larger association, but they have what is called a fission-fusion dynamic society. So they might have this pod, they're usually staying together, but they might split and then come back. It's a study that there are a lot of studies going on with the white-beaked dolphins because they are not so easy to research, but they are extremely social. They are always in group. They even interact with other animals. Like, for example, you see in this video, they are interacting with a humpback whale. Sometimes the interaction is positive, sometimes it's negative, and they try to harass the humpback whale. I guess it depends on the day of the white-beaked dolphin. The next species, of course, is one of the most iconic walk in the Icelandic landscape or seascape, is the orcas. We have orcas in Vestmanneyjar. It's been recorded now in January. For the first time, this group was recorded here in January. The group of Mulder and Scully. You see these crook dorsal fins are very distinctive from this group. This is how they sound. They sound very, very noisy. And what we know about orcas is that we have around 4,000 to 7,000 of them around the country. And the main thing about them is that apparently they are feeding on herring. This is important because we have 10 ecotypes of orcas around the world, and each of them is doing a different thing. We might have orcas in Antarctica that are specialized in seal hunting, others that are harassing gray and blue whales and they are eating them, others that are just eating salmon. So depending on the species, we have, depending on the ecotype, we have different behaviors. What is interesting about orcas is that you can see them in June. They are coming here in June to eat herring. So it's pretty common if you go to the west side of the island to see them, the few pods coming and going all along the coast. Also, to identify them, what we use is the dorsal fin. You see this male, because males in the orcas have this pointy dorsal fin. It can be up to 2 meters long. And also what we call the saddle patch, this white mark that they have behind the body. It's called the saddle patch. So the scientists can photo identify and can try to identify different members around regions. For example, this winter it was identified orca that was in Scotland and also in Iceland between 2016 and 2019. Another species that you can see in Vestmann, especially in summer, June, July, is the pilot whale. They are always traveling in groups, around 20 to 25 individuals, and the population around Iceland is estimated to be 150 to 730,000. It's not very defined yet. What is curious about this species is the name they have, pilot whales. They form what is called matriarchal association, matrilineal association. That means that the pod will aggregate around one female, and that's the one that is leading the group. This behavior is a little bit tricky because that leads to a lot of massive stranding. This species is well known because it's usually stranding in the beach. We have every year this one massive stranding event in Iceland. This one is from 2019 in Safnahús, when at least 20 to 30 pilot whales stranded. And it's also a characteristic that is used in Faroe Island, for example, when they are doing the drive huntings and they are trying to drive all the pilot whales towards the beach to hunt them. So as I say, they are very common in summer. And what is interesting is that they interact with the previous species, with the orcas. They apparently, this is still under investigation. There are one PhD going on about that. But apparently the pilot was don't like the presence of orcas. And what they do is try to harass them to push them out of their territory. And if we get into the world of the whales, I'm going to start with the smallest of all of them, minke whale. It's estimated that we have around 14,000 of them, and they are more and more common during the last decades. The numbers have been increasing from 4,000 to 20 years ago to around 40,000 that we have now. And what do we know about minke whales? Well, minke whales is a migratory species, and they are coming after the winter to Iceland because Iceland is very rich in nutrients, it's very rich in fish. So they are coming every summer to eat like many other whales. For example, if you look at this map here, those are some minke whales that were attacked in the south and in the north of Iceland. And you can see the tracking, some tagging result we get from these minke whales. And then we'll go all the way down to Azores, to the west side of Africa. Although it seems that they are going more to the Caribbean waters because it's where they have their breeding grounds. Minke whales are doing also this funny sound that you are hearing that resembles a little bit to Star Wars. And they are also, we have 3 different species of minke whales around the world. The one that we have here in the North Atlantic is called the common minke whale. And the characteristic, the thing that makes it different, is that they have this white band around the flippers. Also, they are very stinky. So if you are sailing or you are just walking on the cliff and you suddenly smell something really fishy, really disgusting, that's probably because a minke whale was passing by. This is one of my favorite species and probably one of the favorite species of everyone who wants to see a whale are thinking about humpback whales. Humpback whales are very well known worldwide. They are migratory species and they also go all the way down to the south, to the breeding grounds. And it's estimated that we have roughly around 10,000 of them around Iceland during the summertime. And it could be that we have around 25,000 of them in the Northeast Atlantic. They are making these sounds that you can hear. And also we have different coloration or different composition in the humpback whales, depending where you are in the world. So for example, here in the North Atlantic, you're gonna see that most of them, they have these white flippers that you can see here in this drone footage taken here in Vestmanneyjar, and they have very long flippers. The flippers or the pectoral fins, the arms of the whales, are the longest in the whale world. Also, you see that there is a collection here of flukes. These are the tail of the whale. So we can identify every single individual just thanks to the fluke pattern. So we know that they have different coloration. It could be more black, dark, more white with some marks, distinctive marks. So thanks to that, we can photo identify them. And for example, from this winter, and there were few humpback whales around Iceland, and some of them we were able to identify thanks to Hvalir and all the collection and the catalog that they have. They were able to identify a few of them, and we discovered that some of them were seen previously in Faxafloy, others in Ísafjörður, others were news. So we're still learning a lot from humpback whales. What you're gonna see when you go out to the cliff, right, it's gonna be these big bushy below when they are together. Usually you can see more than one or two together. And also it's very common to see that they are jumping or they are showing the tail when they are going for a deep dive. Next species is the fin whale, one of the largest whales that we have in the world, around 25 meters long. It's not much that we know about fin whales in Iceland. It's estimated that we have around 37,000 of them, but the numbers are changing. In the southern hemisphere, it's critically endangered. Here, it's seen that in the northern hemisphere, the numbers of the population is recovering, especially after massive whaling during the 20th century. And what's interesting is that there are not many places in Iceland where you can see fin whales, and it's because they are usually feeding close to the continental shelf. But if you remember at the beginning of the presentation, we are located very close to the continental shelf. Most of the fin whales that we have are located in the east of the island, and it's because it's where we have the continental shelf. They are feeding in krill, small schooling fish. So if you see really big below, probably what you're going to see is a fin whale. It's also interesting because fin whales, they have different coloration in their jaws. So one side will be a little bit more whitish or lighter, and the other will be a little bit more dark. And it's seen that they are using that to trap krill or small schooling fish. And they are using that in order to confuse their prey so they don't know what is coming before they got them. And the last whale, big whale that we can see here in Vestmann, and I think is something really amazing that thanks to a lot of researchers have been kind of discovered, is the blue whale, the largest animal exists, the largest ever existing marine mammal in the world, with permission of a dinosaur discovered in Argentina. But these guys are around 30 meters long. The longest one, I think it was a female discovered in Antarctica, and it was 32 meters long. Blue whales are critically endangered. We hit them really hard during the whaling era. And it's estimated that in the North Atlantic, we have around 1,500, maybe 6,000. We don't know precisely what's going on with it. You see that they have this chevron pattern around the body. They were called blue whale, but they should be called more like gray whales, in my opinion. What is interesting is that the last year has been a lot of fidelity from blue whales. With the researchers with the Icelandic Orca project, led by Filipa Samara, they noted, or they realized that blue whales are appearing regularly by August, late August. So it seems that is a pretty regular pattern from this blue whale. So if you are around in August, just look to days and try to find the blue whales. There are other places in Iceland where we know that also blue whales are appearing on a regular basis, like in, for example, Húsavík, late May, middle of May, they have blue whales arriving. They are also migratory species, like all the three previous whales. So they are also coming from the south. We don't know exactly from where. We know that there are some sightings of blue whales in October. Then you go to Azores and you have some sightings as well during the winter. So it's still a big unknown. It will be really cool to know more about blue whales. And the last species is not technically a wild one, but it's one that you can see here in Vestmanneyjar, is the belugas. We have two belugas in the island, little gray and little white. The story is quite interesting. They were trapped or captured in Russia around 10 years ago. They spent 1 year in one facility in Russia, and then they were sold to an aquarium in China. The company that bought the aquarium decided that they don't want to have animal in captivities, in this case Merlin, and they decided to make a marine sanctuary, marine beluga sanctuary, to give this animal a chance to come back to a semi-natural environment. So here we are. We have little gray and little white. They've been here with us for roughly 2 years. And now they are in the indoor facilities, but hopefully in a few months they will be out there in the bay in Klettsvik. So if you are coming to Iceland, if you are coming to Vestmann, probably you're going to see these two girls out there in the bay. So that was a quick review to the species that we can see from land. Or if you have a boat, if you happen to have a boat, you also can see that when you are sailing around, remember porpoises, white-beaked dolphins, pilot whales, white-beaked dolphins, orcas, minke whales, fin, humpbacks, and blues, and also the belugas, of course. And also I want to talk to you a little bit about conservation, because of course these animals are suffering a lot of problems. They have to deal with us, with the changing world. And I want to mention a few of them, just to let them know. For example, we have noise pollution. Blue whales, remember that they are here in August. Well, blue whales apparently are reducing the frequency and of their calls. This is a graph done by McDonald and colleagues in 2009, and you can see how the frequency of the songs or the noises that they produce is going down. It's going down probably because of the noise pollution that we have in the environment, wind farms. We also have a lot of marine traffic. It's been increasing and increasing year by year. And that's something that we should be worried about, of course, because blue whales are endangered species. They need to find each other at some point to mate and to try to recover the population. But if there's more noise in the water, if they are reducing their sounds, if they cannot hear each other, it's going to be hard for them. Also, we have to talk about bycatch, as I did in the previous presentation about birds. And according to some studies, it's reported that around almost 2,000 marine mammals, mostly porpoises and white-beaked dolphins, were victims of the accidental trap of the bycatch. Of course, this is not something that is done on purpose. The fisheries are working really hard to try to avoid this scenario, because no one wants to find dead whales or dead dolphins in their nets. It's also something that it costs a lot of money. So there are a lot of initiative going on, like for example, trying to install pingers in the nets, which are acoustic devices that deter these marine mammals to get close to the net, or try to help them to find their way out of the net, so we can reduce these numbers. Following with the fishing industry, of course, a lot of whales are getting entangled. There was a report, a paper published by Vestmanneyjar and colleagues in 2019, and apparently 25% of the humpback whales that we see in Iceland, which could be around 1,500 every year, more or less, they are showing signs of being previously entangled or getting trapped in the fishing net. This is again a bad scenario, but the fishing industry, of course, is working hard to avoid this kind of situation, because it's really costly, and because it not only endangers species, but also it also costs a lot of money to release these animals, or also to lose the nets. And one of the latest things that I want to mention is pollution in the ocean. We know about plastic, but there is something underlying that we might not see, and is pollution for heavy metals or PCBs as well. And it's because these animals, whales and dolphins, they are in the top of the trophic chain. So that's mean that they are eating everything. They are the top predators. And in this case, like orcas, is being reported here in Iceland from biopsies taken from orcas, that those who are eating other marine mammals, that could eat seals, harbor porpoises, they have high levels of PCB. What does it mean? Well, PCBs in the organism is really bad for you. It can lead to malformation of the fetus, for example. In Faroe Island, it's not a very far away case. The doctors are recommending all the pregnant women to not eat pilot whales. Also, the doctor recommend to not eat tuna because it has a lot of fat. So when we look at this animal and we realize that they have a lot of these heavy metals and PCB in their body, that means that they accumulate all of these toxics. And of course, that's not good. And that's also a sign that our environment is not as clean as we think. So we have to be more thoughtful about how we deal with the environment. A last thing I want to mention, and I promise this is going to be the last one, it's a little bit of a span, because here in Vestmann, we have an incredible opportunity to go outside and become a whale scientist. And you can do that just by going for a walk and reporting what you see. In last December, we create this group, the Whales of Vestmanneyjar group. You can follow here in Facebook, Hvalir with Vestmanneyjar. And all you need to do is just follow the group. And if you see something, report it. You don't need to know if it's a dolphin, if it's a porpoise, if it's a blue whale or a humpback whale. Just report that you have seen something, when and where, and maybe other people will join, so we can all enjoy the sightings of the whales. Since this group has been working, we have had around 60 sightings in just 3 months. That means that one of every 3 days, which is pretty much when we have when we don't have a storm, one of every 3 days, we can see whales or dolphins from land. There are a lot of species that we have seen in just 3 months, like white-beaked dolphins, orcas. Humpback whale has been the main species cited, fin whale, minke whales, harbor porpoises, and also unidentified baleen whale could be fin whale or blue whale. So of course, this couldn't happen without the help of many, many people. So you have here a list of all the people who are contributing actively when they are going for walks and they are reporting whales. And if you want to be part of it, you just need to go to this group. And if you want, you can always text me and we can add you to the whale alert group so you can have an immediate notification of when our whales are seen. And of course, the main scientific reference in the island, it will be Icelandic Orca Project. They are not only dealing with orcas, they are also dealing with other cetaceans, Paul Benson and also Philippa Samara. They are leading the scientific community here. So if you have interest, you can always follow them and we can get more knowledge, more information about what's going on in Vestmanneyjar. So that's going to be all for my part. I hope that I sparked some curiosity with whales and dolphins that we have in Vestmanneyjar. I hope that next time you are going for a walk, you will think about that. You will look at the ocean and you will try to find these plows, these dorsal fins, these little or big species, try to guess which one it is, and of course, report it if you see. And I want to thank again the Multicultural Center and also the Library of Vestmanneyjar for all the support and all the help. And of course, I hope to see you very soon. Tack för er, thank you, Jinkuya, obrigado.